I did this with the vision to have freedom.
Yeah.
You know, like holy,
I know.
and I've got
Yeah.
no sleep, no life. Like it's just, I hate it.
Wild Rose! Wild Rose! Welcome to this episode of the Wild Rose. We have Kirsty Lee Black with us today, which we're very excited to have on here. And Kirsty, when we start our podcast episodes, we start off with hashtag awkward question time. Just an icebreaker question that we ask. We all answer it. It just gets the conversation rolling. Before we dive into you, what you do, the magic that you bring into the world. So what I would really love to know from you, Kirsty, is what is your favorite go-to pump up song at the moment? Like, what's your song that you put on to like fist pump it out into the air and get into the vibes?
Okay, my favorite fist pump song. Righto, I've given myself a little bit of a break from the gym for a while, and I've just gotten back into going to the gym. Yeah. So like cool. My big pump up song that I've been listening to at the moment, Down with the Sickness by Disturbed.
Oh, I know it. Is it?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. And I follow it by their version of Sound of Silence too. So I'm like countering
wow.
like, yeah.
That's like really getting in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
gives you a big pump up song.
Yeah. What's a classic? Okay, so you do have a background in fitness, which we'll talk about as well. You had the gyms and things like that. But what would have been what's a classic gym song for you as well? Like when you were in the peak of your fitness days and working out, like what was a classic Kirsty tune to put on to work out to?
Do you know what? It's going to sound really weird, but I used to work out to like really calming and relaxing music because especially when I was doing cardio, like if I was doing cardio, because I hate cardio, I was like literally cardi no.
Cardi no.
Cardi no go.
So if I was ever going, so when I was competing and we used to have to do sprints and we used to have to do cardio, it was just we had to do it coming into it when we're stripping. I'd put like anything that was really calming or classical or something like that on. Yeah, real emotional. So I'd kind of go off with that and think about like breathing to that rather than like, because I used to find if I put like all the real psych up songs on, I'd be all like, yeah. And then you'd be like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So I'd kind of go that way. It's real weird. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like such a,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It can take you places too, like when, you know, I used to do personal training, but like with a trainer, and I loved it at the time, but the cardio bit was just the bit that just absolutely wrecked me mentally as well as physically. But it's just, I think that would have been really cool because then I'm not focused on what I'm actually doing, because that pumping music, like if I go to a pump class or whatever, you know, at a gym or whatever, it's just like I'm focusing on that muscle move every single time because of that music.
Yeah,
my mind took a different road. Maybe that would have been easier.
Yeah, that's how I used to get through it. I used to listen to like real calming, like just the real soft like love songs and stuff like that. Yeah, just to take your mind off of it and go away, and you could just like completely zone out. Yeah,
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, that is genius.
It is.
I did
absolutely.
I did an 11K run, no training, no nothing, and I went into it, and that's all I did. I put my headphones in, and I just started like at this real slow pace, but put my headphones in, and I just breathed to the music, and that was all I did the whole time.
Just whipped out an 11K. It's all good.
Just an 11K.
You're on, and you'll be fine.
My girlfriend's like, "Have you been training?" And I'm like, "No." So I'm not training to run. Like, I don't run. Does this body look like it runs?
That's funny. We're doing it all wrong, Paula, because when we were together and we went for that jog when Jana, our coach, was filming us, we did like from one end of the playground bit to past at the end of the playground bit. And we're buckling over. Yeah, Early Beach Caravan Park. And we're buckling over like heaving because it was just like so far. Like, what was it, 300 meters or something?
Grass bit?
Yeah.
Behind
Yeah,
where
that
the jumping
little bit
feels
there.
like that
Yeah.
bit. It's not even classified as a run. It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
Oh,
you need
man.
to have that
We need
soothing
Kirsty
music going.
trainers. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
What's your go-to pump-up song currently, Shonah?
At the moment, this is funny actually, because I come across it, I'm actually going like a lot. I go into the reel rabbit hole, Instagram reels.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and I find music that way like recently, and it's just been really cool. Anyway, so there's this band called Mad Con, I think they call themselves, right?
Yeah.
And they're actually, I found out because I got my brother into them, so he's like obsessed with them now, knows their brand, like knows the band names and knows which one's the shy one and all the things, right? Anyway, so he's just talking to me flat out about it, and they won Eurovision. Anyway, it's called Mad Con Beggin'. Have you heard that? Begging you. You know that song?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they do this bloody brilliant cover of it. So it's like, I don't listen, like the lyrics mean nothing, but it's just like, it's the best. I can't stop playing it in the car on the way to school. I just can't stop playing it. It's the best. That's mine.
I love that.
Beggin'. Yeah, it's cool.
I love that.
What about yours?
Mine at the moment is the Astronaut in the Ocean. Do you know that one?
No.
He's actually an Aussie hip hop artist. Interesting. So it's the one that goes, "What you know about rolling down in the deep," and like the guitar riff is dirty and just like it's kind of rock, but it's kind of grunge and kind of like rap at the same time. I'm like, it just gets all the things happening.
Wow.
But the thing that I absolutely love about that song, because I looked up what the lyrics actually were for a post that I was writing, and what I actually found out was that this song has gone gangbusters like this year in 2021, but it was originally released in 2019 and it barely got played.
Yes.
And it was like the whole idea of that song is like when you feel like an astronaut in the ocean, like you're supposed to be in space as an astronaut, but you're currently in the ocean. It's like you feel like you're living this life and you know that you're for something else. You know that you're not in the right place right now. You know that, I think the song he was talking a lot about his career as a artist was like he knew that he was supposed to be big, but yet he felt like he was in the ocean and he knew he was supposed to be up in space. And it was so funny because that's what the song's about. And it got first released in 2019 and it was like nobody really even heard it. It barely got played. And then it got re-released in 2021. And it was like, it just took off on TikTok and on Reels. And it was just like, all of a sudden it was everywhere. Yeah. And it was like how interesting that's actually what the song is about. Like he knew that song was going to be huge and like he knew he was going to be huge, but yet, he had everybody has that time in the ocean before they're, the astronaut in space, which they see themselves as. So
how bloody cool is that?
That's so cool.
I know.
Cool.
Such a cool song. So,
love it.
And I love that he's an Aussie too.
Yes, that's very cool. Paula, look, see, you get the messages out of everything, don't you?
Yeah.
You do. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Kirsty, let's talk about you, girlfriend. Obviously we touched on doing fitness but you've had multiple businesses, and you've just really taking wild roads, as we say, but like really finding each chapter of your life, finding what absolutely lights you up. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've had many chapters.
Awesome.
Business-wise, my first business okay, let's go back to my first business I ever it was online, believe it or not.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Reborn Dolls.
No.
No. Oh, I've got one here. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So they're lifelike dolls. I was just scanning eBay. This is back when Ella was 6 months old. So she's 16 now. I saw this doll and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, oh my God, this doll is beautiful. And my hubby's like, no, I'm not letting you spend that much money on a doll. That's ridiculous, because I collect teddy bears too. And I was like, oh, well, for the amount that it cost me to buy this doll, can I buy the stuff to learn how to make it? And he's like, yep, I'm happy for you to do that. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I bought this stuff and I made this doll and I started getting into it and started selling them on eBay and started going from there. And then I saw this competition with this company over in America because I used to sell kits. And I'm like, oh, the only kit I've got of theirs is one that I've actually sculpted fairy ears onto. So I turned it into a little fairy doll.
Oh, that's cute.
And so I've entered that into the competition, and then that company has then sent me a message and said, oh my God, we love what you did. We love that you turned one of our babies into a fairy. Do you think that you could actually do a video and record it for us and do a tutorial and stuff like that, and we'll publish it in our magazines that go out worldwide and so on and so forth? And so I did that, and then they ended up putting me on a contract. So I used to sculpt dolls then from scratch that they used to then use as a replica. I used to sculpt them out of polymer clay, and they would send them off and get them reproduced in silicone. So, like the dolls that the kids buy in the shops and stuff.
Wow. So you're like a doll designer.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So cool. Like sometimes I'd be walking along and I'd be like, oh, hey, that's my doll. Like in Big W or something. Yeah, so cool. And so from there, this is when it was quite new, like quite a new industry. I ended up going around and I would teach doll classes. And then a lady I met online, she was in Tasmania, and so Tasmania hosts a doll show every year, and it's like the largest doll show in Australia. So then I'd fly down there every year and do a masterclass and judge the doll show down there. And so that was like
big.
My first
That's
ever,
good.
like,
Wow.
Very cool.
So cool. So I started that just as a stay-at-home mum, as something to do because of the kids. And
working around the kids. Yeah.
Liza Doll Kit
in a mining town.
Turns out to be an international doll maker, like doll designer.
My next business, like in between my jobs, like I had bits and pieces of jobs here and there. I've got a beauty background, so qualified beauty therapist. So I ended up opening my own beauty salon. So that was my first actual proper brick and mortar business. Turned that into just something absolutely beautiful and amazing, like completely ripped the space out, redid it, just, started from there. And then I became an industry expert for taste, which was really cool. That was really cool.
Oh,
wow. So I actually got to go and judge the World Skills Australia for the beauty section.
Straight to the top.
As well. Yeah,
there's a theme going here. There's a theme going here. You just like try something out, but no, try this. Straight to the top.
But now I'm like the leader and I go judge the stuff.
Exactly.
I'm almost like, I'm pretty sure it's like, I've got some version of like, I don't know, ADHD or something like that, where I'm just like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to obsessively do it and do all in. Like, So then I had my salon, and I still had my salon when I got into fitness and competed and things like that. And then I ended up with one gym, and then I ended up with two gyms, and then I had two gyms and a beauty salon and, 50 odd staff. And
wow,
that was literally, my life, and it was just crazy, crazy, crazy. And then it got to, I think it was 2016 or 17, making lots of money. It was making big money.
yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it. It was just, you get to that stage where you're like, yeah, this is going great and I love it. And then you're like, no, actually I don't. Like, I'm starting to get real worn out. I'm getting up at, 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym at like 5 o'clock, to open it up. And, I'm still there at 8 o'clock at night. And, I'm like, get up, go to the gym in the morning, quickly run, duck out, take the kids to school, come back to the gym, check in the salons, check in my other gym. And, I just couldn't. I was spreading myself too thin. And then, my hubby works away. So he works away 7 on, 7 off. So he was only here for 7 days. And when he was here, I'm like, oh my God, all of this maintenance needs to be done. So I had him in working with me, and then he would try and actually work in the gym for me to give me a bit of a break. And it was just...
And by that time as well, your kids are busy, but then they get to a point in teenagehood that it's busy because they have these different things in lives, and that you're just running around. And so mixed with that is
that's it. Like Ollie had soccer, so he was playing soccer. Ella was gymnastics, so she was I don't know if you've ever had kids that do gymnastics. That's 5 days a week. It's full on. She was doing 10 hours a week of gymnastics. And Lainey was modeling. Lainey even got invited over to America for 2 weeks for modeling. So then we were over in America for a couple of weeks with her, with modeling and talking to talent agents and all sorts of things. And it was just full on and crazy. And I was like, no,
you're about to burn out.
I did this with the vision to have freedom. Holy,
I know.
And I've got no sleep, no life. Like, it's just, I hate it. So I closed them all up and walked away.
Wow.
See, that's just as wild as like starting a venture like that in the first place, is like knowing when, it's fulfilled a part of you and you've gotten to a point where you're like, yeah, it's done now. And to be able to then make a decision to walk away and knowing that that's for your highest good, like that's totally wild, because so many people get themselves to a point where they're like, well, I can't quit now. Like I can't walk away now. Like, look how, it's my responsibility. I can't just sell it or shut it down or, change directions now. And, a lot of people say, oh, it's too late for me to do it. It's too late. But like, you still got your whole rest of your life ahead of you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I actually love and admire about you, Kirsty, is that you are a person that will do things that really light you up to the point where you're like, okay, and now we're done. We get to do something else now. Like,
yes. Yeah.
And having that strength.
That's literally how I roll. I will literally do something and do it, and it lights me up, and then I'm like, no, this isn't working anymore. Switch.
So what did you do after you closed the gyms and walked away?
So we closed the gyms, we walked away, we packed up, and Elaine was going to uni at that stage. So we moved up to Townsville to settle her into uni. We were just going to stay there for a little bit to settle her in and start traveling. We'd had the caravan. We literally sold everything off, packed everything up, got in this caravan, drove 4.5 hours up the road. And stayed there for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so crazy. It was one of those things like, yeah, the kids hated homeschooling. They didn't like, going out doing excursions. They just were not going to socialize with anyone else and stuff like that. They just really craved the school environment. We're like, okay, yeah, they've got a few years left of school anyway, so let's just.
Well, they were older.
They were older, yeah. If they were younger, it would have been completely different. But having the two older ones, so we kind of stayed there, popped them in school, and I'm like, oh well, now what am I going to do? I'm going to look for a job. Like, I'm bored. I can't stay home. Like, I can't do nothing. I ended up going and working for a beauty school up there. So I was a trainer and assessor at the school up there. So we used to put people through their diploma of beauty.
So beautiful. And you have little creatures as well that you look after, which I'm blown away about as well. All the little possums and stuff, the wildlife caring you do, that is sensational. I love watching your stories. Every single day there's a little possum trying to crawl up and have a cuddle. And tell us a bit about that as well.
Wildlife caring. I got into that when we moved back from Townsville, and we were living at the beach, and at the beach there's these beautiful big palm trees, and we would go and sit down on the deck every day. And one day we were sitting down on the deck, and Lainey, my eldest daughter, and I would like, what the hell was that? Like, something fell from the tree. And we were like, had the torches out because it's just starting to get dark, and had a look, and it was this little tiny possum.
Oh.
And we were like, oh my God. So we got him and we looked after him, and we kept him until the next day, like, because we'd called the wildlife carers and sent them off. And then we had another one.
Wow.
And it had fallen out of a different palm tree. And so then I went,
all these mamas kicking their babies out.
God, I love these babies.
Wow.
So I went, do you know what, stuff it. I'm just going to become a wildlife carer anyway, so I can keep them and look after them.
Oh God, I love you. I love you. Yeah, you're amazing.
So I signed up and did that, and then had my possums, and now it got crazy there at one stage. I had like 4 of them, like my two big boys, which you probably would have seen videos of us walking around, and they're like running behind us, like
So cute.
And then I've only got one at the moment, so I'm like a little bit lonely. I've been doing the ring around going, has anyone got any babies? Need to take over?
It's like, how there's like cat people, there's like possum people.
Literally. Oh my God, on Saturday though, I'm going up and I'm doing my Macropod training, which is for like my wallabies and kangaroos and stuff like that. So
wow,
so excited. So I'll be able to.
I so want a Joey.
Oh my God,
could
me
you
too.
Imagine? I remember my nan had one. My nan had a Joey when I was young, and she'd go, hold your jumper out, Shone, and I'd hold my wind cheater out, and it'd just do a big somersault, and it'd just stay there. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I know. I'm so obsessed. I so want a little Joey. I'm like, I'm going to do this training, and I'm going to get a kangaroo.
Oh my God, we stayed at a Kangaroo Sanctuary when we travelled. It's near 1770 at Agnes Waters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah. There's a Kangaroo Sanctuary there, and they're not actually, well, the Australian government is actually trying to kill off all of the kangaroos. Like they see them as pests. I'm like, they're on our coat of arms. They're like an Australian, anyway. It does not make sense, but they see them as pests, and they don't want to take care of them or spend resources on taking care of them, especially, if the mothers get hit by cars or, babies get stranded and things like that. I think what they told us there is that if you call wise, they say just let it go and it'll be fine. It will just hop away. But it's like it's a baby. It needs its mum. It needs milk. It needs taken care of. So we stayed at this sanctuary, and this sanctuary, oh my gosh, the people who ran it can't actually ask for like money or charge money for the kangaroos. So they let people camp on their their property, and they charge you to camp on their property, but they use that money to take care of the kangaroos, which is absolutely beautiful. And every day, like, you could go up and help feed them like sweet potato and things like that. And they're the most beautiful animals, and they're all named, and he'll call them by their names, and they'll like look up and come over. Like they know their names, and
they are so beautiful.
They're the sweetest animals. They don't carry any diseases. They're so gentle. Yeah. And I mean, you know, if you got on the wrong side of a big one,
bull,
it'll box the hell out of you. But like, they're such placid, beautiful animals. They need so much care from us to take care of them, because, you know, they're not getting it from, you know, any protection from our government whatsoever. But I had a whole new found respect for kangaroos and joeys, and just like people who take care of them, because I'm like, they do it because from the goodness of their heart. They're not doing it because they get anything out of it other than, you know, helping our wildlife. And
like, you don't get any money for it. You don't get like anything. Do you know something really beautiful? The other week I was sitting around the fire. We're having a fire down the back, and I was looking on Facebook, and I was like, oh, look at this, because I was looking for patterns, because I had been making my own pouches and things like that. So I was looking up patterns for, you know, all in preparation to get my Joey, you know, looking up patterns and that for pouches for Joeys and for kangaroos.
Yeah.
And I found this craft guild. It's an Australian wildlife craft guild. And there was a little section on there, and it's like, hey, send us a message if, you know, you're a carer and you're after anything. And I was like, oh, do you know what? I might send them a message. So I've sent them a message and, you know, said to them, like, look, I'm going to start taking in some kangaroo, like some joeys and some kangaroos. But, you know, at the moment I've only got, you know, 4 possums in care. That was it. Hadn't heard anything. And then all of a sudden I got this box delivered to me, and it was massive. Like, I have, you know, your wardrobe doors, and you've got your like those shelves, like the inserts with the drawers and the shelves. I've got one that's just shelves, and it is chockers. I got medical supplies sent to me, and they're all, and I've got pouches, and I've got inners, and I've got so many things to have. And I was like, do you know what? This is amazing, because, you know, the wildlife rescue group that there's not really any in Mackay. So the closest one we've got is Whitsunday. So that's still an hour and a half drive away. So we're not really close to a lot of people. I'm like, you know what, this is going to be so beautiful, because then when I take on another new carer, and, you know, I'm buddied up with her or him or whoever a new carer is, I've got so much beautiful things that I can give to them to help them out as well. You know, because it is hard, because you're like, I don't know what to do. But it was amazing. And all it is other people that donate them, people make them, and then they donate them to the craft guild, and then the craft guild just send them out to wildlife carers. So I never even knew it existed, but it was beautiful.
Brilliant.
That's so cool. Because
I love people.
There was so many places, like especially remote places, that we saw people taking care of joeys, especially in places where kangaroos got hit a lot on the freeway. And it was so sad, because they're like, they would just have these joeys, and they're like, yeah, we're just taking care of it because, you know, the mum got hit, and until it's big enough, and then, you know, but there's no resources for people that are doing those sorts of things. They're just doing it because, you know, they love wildlife and they just want to help. But it's like, they'll be wrapped up in blankets and full random stuff and like baby bottles and all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, we're just trying to take care of it as best we can. But there's no actual, like what you said, it's kind of hard to figure out like what to do, because, you know, this sort of stuff isn't taught to us. This sort of stuff isn't readily available to have assistance with.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing, like, you know, it's one of those catch-22s, like, especially, you know, being a registered wildlife carer and having, you know, done all the courses and done all of that. A lot of the times, you know, you've got members of the public that do find animals and they do pick them up and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to try and look after this, you know, this baby and do this and do that. And, you know, out of the pure kindness and goodness of their heart, they do this. But sometimes it's like so to the detriment of the animal. You know, like giving them porridge or giving them milk or, you know, things like that,
exactly.
that their systems just can't handle.
That's right.
It is, it's sad because you can see, you know, I think there was a picture of one come through, someone was looking after a little joey they'd just found and were feeding it milk, and, you know, this joey should have been about 4 or 5 kilos, and it was 500 grams still, you know, because its whole system could not retain any nutrients, and and it's sad. You do have to put them down, especially, you know, if they're giving them things like that. So it is sad.
I mean,
like
I think I was going to say that I think the most vets do supply like formula powders for different marsupials, for different Australian wildlife and stuff. So, you know, if you're ever stuck, but it is a good idea to know, you know, if this is, you know, if you do pick up an animal and you are stuck to find a wildlife carer, to actually go to the vets first, because they can help you. And then like the wildlife carers, there is it's pretty big. It's easy to find, isn't it? Like I remember signs. There's phone numbers on the side of the road, wildlife, you know, to find your local, you know, wildlife carer. But where else do you find them?
Just even a quick Google search. Like you can easily do a quick Google search and it will bring up like quite a few like wildlife carers near me, or, you know, wildlife guilds. Otherwise, take them to the vets, because the vets will have them and look after them, and they've actually got a lot of us on speed dial, like if we're down as a rescue.
Yes, I do.
So they have a lot of us on speed dial, and they'll give us a call and say, hey, we've just had this come in, are you able to come? And we've given it a vet check, it's fine, are you able to come and take care of it? So we were meant to be having our advanced first aid training on Sunday up at Airlie Beach, but our trainer is in Great Brisbane area, so they can't fly up.
All this stuff.
So we don't so we miss out on the advanced first aid and things like that. But there's things like, you know, if an animal comes in and it's dehydrated, you know, rather than trying to give them anything, we've got subcuts which you inject just under the, you know, under their skin to give them. It's tricky. But if you ever find an animal, just take it to the vets if you can't get a hold of a carer.
It's full on. Like, shout out to all of you guys, because you know, in those times where Australia is doing it tough, like the bushfires at the start of last year, you know, and when there's been floods and stuff, like we really do shout out to our heroes that are our rangers, our firemen, all the people that are doing it, all the volunteers. But there's very little about the volunteers that are taking in all these injured and suffering animals and trying to help them. So big shout out to you guys. I think you're doing an amazing job in the world. I love it.
It's really rewarding, heartbreaking at times, but it's so rewarding.
Gosh. Well, and you're doing this, right? This is the interesting part. This is why I feel like you're superhuman, because you're doing all this stuff and this raising a family and helping in this capacity. But not only that, our coach, Joanna Kingsford, you are her OBM, online business manager. Like, you are like, you know, helping her create a $1 million business, well, she already has, but you are amongst this. Like, tell us about this journey.
Oh my God, I was still working another job when I first started for Jana. So I came on board with Jana, it would have been a year ago now. It was so crazy. I've come home from night shift, and she sent me a message and she's like, hey, I've got a question. And I'm like, yes. Well, night shift is the best time to ask me a question because I'm so doughy in the head. You most likely get what you want. So yeah, so she said, hey, how do you feel about because I was working a 7 on 7 off shift, so she's like, hey, how do you feel about doing some work for me on your days off? And I was like, yeah, cool, why not? Like, probably don't start me on anything today.
Might need some sleep first.
Let me have a little bit of a sleep. But yeah, and it was good because I had actually done, I think it would have been probably nearly 3 or 4 years previous to that. Like, I'd done her social media nutcracking and and then I'd done her Me brand. Like, I'd done her 2020 intake for Me brand, and then Life Workers, I think it was. So I'd already done like a couple of, like, been in her realm and been in her world, and not just that, we were friends as well. Like, we've been friends for 20 years. So it's been good. So I've watched her go through so much, like, from being this young, naive little casual, like, that was working for me, to, we were both quite fierce in competition. Like,
yes. Are you sure?
But yeah, so I've kind of watched her grow, and then when she had babies, like, she was meant to be a bridesmaid in my wedding, but she had Tani, like, so inconveniently, like, a week before.
So rude, hey.
Goodness
like,
me.
she's supposed to be one of your best friends, and she goes and has a baby right before your wedding.
Gosh.
Oh my God. They made it to our engagement party.
Oh,
so
that's
that
beautiful.
was cool. Yeah, but her hubby, or her now hubby, Mark and Andrew, they ended up picking up the engagement cake. Going completely off topic here, this is a funny story.
This is a good story.
So they were in charge of picking up the engagement cake, so they put it in the boot of the car, gone to a mate's place and started drinking.
Oh my goodness.
And this is North Queensland.
This is North Queensland.
So even in winter, it's very hot there.
Yeah. And then Mark's like, hey, Andrew, mate, we should probably check on that cake. So they've gone out to go and check on the cake, and all the icing is just melted and run off the cake.
Oh my.
This is a Saturday. Like a Saturday afternoon, and so here they're like running around to, like, calling up places, running around places, trying to see, like, oh my God, can we salvage this cake? They ended up finding like our little local bakery, and took it in there, and it cost them a carton of beer to get to, like, just do a quick, like, re-icing of our engagement cake.
That's the Aussie spirit, isn't it? Just give me a case of beer.
I'll
love
fix
it.
her up.
Yeah.
And
So
you know
Aussie.
what? Like, Mark and Jana kept that a secret from me for I don't know how long. I think
so you didn't even know on the day.
No, I had no idea.
Gosh.
Do you know what? I think I probably found out about it probably only about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and we've been married for like 18 years.
So a good decade plus.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was so funny. But
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so
cool.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. Anyway, getting back on topic. So I had a little bit of an idea of what Jana did because I'd done it. And I did the Dreamspo pass too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd kind of gone through and I'd done all of that. Yeah, so I had an idea of what she was doing and how she was working, and because I used to catch up with her every time they'd do a lap of Australia, they'd come and spend, a couple of weeks with us. And so I knew kind of what I was getting myself into. Learned so much of everything, but Jana's just like, I just want your business brain. Like, I need your business brain. I can teach you how to do everything else, but we just want your business brain and just the way that you look after things. That's what we want.
Because you've done both things. Like, you've built your own businesses and taken care of those, and you've also taken care of businesses for other people as well. and really big businesses making lots of money too. So it's and you know, different scales of like number of employees, the industries that they're in as well. So I can see why Jana was like, I need your business brain.
Absolutely.
Please come and work for me.
Yeah. We caught up because we went to their house when they were up in Cairns, to their beach house at Christmas time for New Year's. So we celebrated New Year's together. We were just kind of sitting there getting a bit of a plan, like what's going to happen for the year and what's doing and so on and so forth. And because I would always find like I'd be out at work and I'm like, oh my God, Jana's doing all this stuff this week. Could she not just wait a week? Now I'm like backtracking. I get home and I'm like, oh my God, I got to do all this. And I'd find the weeks that I was home, she would be quiet. It would be a bit more of a quieter week and, you know, not too much going on. But not to say that she still doesn't do that now. I'll be sitting there watching a live and Jana will be like, so we're launching this. And I'll be like, wait, what?
Yeah. Okay.
What?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's like, so we're having a bit of a chat and, you know, she's like, oh my God, you know, this is what I'm envisioning. We're talking big dreams, obviously. She's big dreams, everything.
Yeah.
You know, we were touching base again on mine and Andrew's big dreams to travel. You know, last time we got 4.5 hours up the road. And then, no, we actually want to go the whole way this time.
It was just like a little trial start. It's like, okay, we can do 4 hours. We can do 40,000 kilometers. It's all good.
Of course.
Look, we did do 2 weeks to Uluru and back. So we did go on a couple of really cool little adventures and stuff. And we just got our new caravan a couple of months ago.
What did you get?
We got this, it's called a villa caravan. Yeah, so pretty. Yeah, at the moment everyone's buying caravans and it was just one of those. Andrew's actually come home from night shift and I'm like, I think we need a caravan. I miss having a caravan. And he's gone, yeah, let's do that. So I'm traipsing around to all these caravan shops and we'd seen this one and I'm like sitting in it. I'm like, I actually really like this one. I think I really like it. Yeah. And we're having a chat and they're like, look, you know, it's about a 12-14 month wait to get caravan built at the moment and stuff like that. And I'm like, what about this one though? Like your display one.
This one's here.
Like, what about this one? And he's like, hold on. And he's gone, had a look. And he's like, I've actually got a couple coming in the next week, you know, because he didn't want to sell me anything. So he didn't have any on display. And I'm like, look, I'm happy to buy it and leave it here for a month or so.
Wow.
But anyway, so we bought it and literally within a week we had a caravan in our front yard.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's so hard to get a caravan right now.
Yeah. So we literally had it a week. Yeah, it was meant to be. And then we literally picked it up on the Wednesday and the Thursday we were up at Airlie catching up with Jana and Mark.
Oh, that's the best.
So we've literally gone away in it nearly every second weekend.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we do use it. It's just trying to get it so that we can do this massive big trip. But it's one of those things. It's like we could go now, but it's just so hard to get in anywhere, and everyone's doing it. And
that's it.
I like my space, and like I love doing the free camps and love doing all those. And I just, you know, I'm like, oh, do I want the stress of, you know, are we going to find somewhere to stay tonight? Because you know you don't want to travel with a plan.
That's I mean, I'm dying to go again. I'm ready to go whenever, like right now. Like if you say, my husband says to me, let's go tomorrow, I'm like, I'm done. I'm ready. I'm there. But the thing is, like, it's still something that I'm really wanting to do. But then when I look at it and what the circumstances are around it right now, I'm like, no, it doesn't feel good. Like the times when we were traveling that we stayed in a caravan park where it was full and it was like, you know, people all side by side, I'm like, it feels like, ugh. It's like when you'd go to a caravan park and there was barely anybody there and they'd space everybody out. I'm like, this feels really good. Or you go to the free camps and usually you'd have them to yourselves. My brother was working, he's just finishing up in Darwin, him and my sister-in-law, and then they're moving to another mine at in WA. And he said he had to drive from Tennant Creek, or from like Darwin down to Tennant Creek and do a job and then go back. And yeah, he was just saying that like all the free camps and all like the side of the road camps and stuff, he's like, they're all so full. And he's like, driving along the road, he'd barely see anybody. He's like, I was overtaking caravans like every 10 minutes. He's like, it was crazy. And I'm like, this is like the Northern Territory, in like not even the most popular part of the Northern Territory too. So yeah, it is a bit crazy at the moment.
It's a shame, and it doesn't excite me. Like I just, like I wanted, we were going to do actually a quick trip up the Cape, as I think I was saying to you.
Yeah.
But someone had posted this thing, and they posted up like all these people and where it was, and they're like, we can't get into this place, we can't get into this place. And then we started ringing, and we were like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. No, this isn't me. I'm not a big like as much as, like I've looked after a lot of people and I've been around a lot of people. I'm very much I like, this is my space.
People don't get up in my space. I don't like it. Yeah.
I like to have my space, and I don't like to feel like, like I'm on top of people, or
I'm the same.
Sitting with Jana at New Year's and having the big discussions and things like that. And Jana's like, oh, I'd love to have you work full time for me. And so she was like, and I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Like, yeah, I could do that. And we kind of talked about it, and then we'd thrown out like a bit of a timeline and gone, maybe November, December, like, let's look at that. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So in my head this whole time I've like been, November, December, that's awesome. That gives me, well and truly, 2 years experience, because I was actually working at the mines at that stage, driving trucks, driving 3-story buildings around for a living.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So exciting.
Doll designer, beauty industry, gin, driving trucks and moving houses around.
Oh, it was so much fun. And I was out there and I was like, oh my God, but I'm like, they're out there in this world of driving these trucks around. I'm like, but I love it out here. I just love it. And I'm like, okay, this would be really cool. Like, I can get my experience up in this. Maybe I can learn something else. Like, here I am, such a girly girl. Like, I'd still go to work out there at the mines with a full face of makeup. Like, my nails done. Like, I've always been a girly girl. I even remember breaking a nail out there one time, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to even tell anyone that I did this, because I am not going to be responsible for them banning nails on site. I would just live with the fact that I just ripped my nail off.
Oh gosh,
but I just loved it. It was just such a whole, you go out there and it's a whole different world. Like, nothing else exists except for these massive machines and moving dirt and stuff like that. So I was like I want to learn to drive the water cart, and I want to get in a dozer, and I want to drive a grader. Like, I want to learn all this stuff, which I never in a million years thought that I'd want to ever do. So I'd like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That gives me a really cool timeline. And then we were sitting having dinner at Northerlies, because at that stage I had been denied holidays to go to Jana's vow renewal, because I was actually rostered on to work, and I'd been denied. And I'm like, but you can't deny me. Like, I have planned this. Like, you have no idea the amount of time I have put into planning this.
Yeah, because you planned the actual
ceremony,
wedding renewals.
Everything. Like everything. And like, just going backwards and forwards. And because it was such short notice, it was literally like, oh, you can't do that? No, okay, I'm going to find someone else that can do it. Okay, you can't do that. And it was just like literally like, and, send someone a message, I haven't heard back from them, I'm ringing them. So
it was wasn't it like I had 10 weeks you had to pretty much put a wedding together, which was a vow renewal? Or was it even shorter than that?
Yeah, it was like 4 weeks. I had a month. Weeks? Yeah.
Wow.
I had like a month, yeah.
And I'm going to say, you absolutely nailed it.
It was amazing.
Oh, the things that we did. Oh yeah, it was amazing. Wow.
If you want to know more about that, we did an episode with Jana Kingsford and she talked about a vow renewals and the epic adventure. Like Kirsty was the one that she like put all of that together.
Yes.
It was insane.
Yes.
And it was so funny because I'm like, Jana, I've just got this vision and this is what I'm just going to do. And she's like, no, I want everything run past me. And I'm like, okay. That was all I said, and just went and did it.
I love that. And it was all perfect.
No, I have this vision. This is what I'm doing. Because I didn't tell her about, you know, the big games there where I'd had everyone's faces printed out. And
that was so cool.
Had no idea about the, you know, the life-size, you know, Guess Who and the teepees and stuff like that and all that little settings. Like she had no idea about like any of that. I'm just like, no, that's organized. Like, no,
wow. So special.
It was so special.
Yeah. It was so cool. But we were at Northerlies doing our pre-celebrations type thing because at that stage I wasn't coming. Yeah, we were kind of sitting at the table and Mark's just turned around to me and said, yeah, we want you full time now. I was like, hey,
I love him.
What? And he's like, you need to have a think about it because we need an answer. We want you full time. Are you going to be full time?
Like, oh God, he's
wait,
gorgeous.
Hold on. I just don't know yet. Like, oh my God.
That's a big question.
I'm a planner and this is like, we're 6 months early.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had in my head like November, December, and I'm like, I don't know. Like May, this is I don't know. And even Jana will vouch for this because there's so many backwards and forwards with me going, Jana, like, you know, but we've been friends for so long. I don't want to ruin a friendship.
Yes, that's huge, you know, as well.
Like, that was a big thing. And I've actually been really spoiled. Like, you know, I'm out at the mines doing a job I had a job that I loved. I had a team that I loved. Like you go out there and they're your family. I am at this job and I like have a team and I love my team and I love my job and I love the type of person it's turning me into. It actually really hardened me up. You know, when you're working with a lot of men and a lot of personalities. I don't want to ruin a friendship and I don't, you know, like what about, there's so many things. But Jana was just so beautiful through the whole stage. And every time I would come up with a like, you know, so I sat down one day and I sent her this big long message of, you know, everything, like all my concerns and all my thoughts, because I thought, no, if we're going to start this journey together, we need to start it all cards on the table, open, honest. She needs to know everything, you know, that's in here. All my fears, everything that I'm feeling, everything, all my emotions that I'm going through. Kind of take it from like go from there. So it was really beautiful, and the way she responded and the way she responded with it, I was like, no, that's my decision.
This feels right.
This feels right.
So good. So good.
Such a wild road to take, because it made me wonder that like you not getting the leave to be able to attend the vow renewals that you had, you know, put so much time and effort into preparing so quickly for them. And, you know, she is one of your best friends that you've been friends with for, you know, 20 years. And to not actually be able to go there, like that to me, I was like, that's a sign. Because when Jana said, she's like, Kirsty can't get time off. I'm like, what do you mean she can't get time off? Like, no, she has to be there. Like, that's this is the universe weaving its magic.
But at the same time when I rang, because I actually rang up, I was sick that week. Because I was still working for them. But I've rung him up and I've just said to him, look, I'm real sick this week. Like, no. My direct supervisor, I was even in there with him, like we had a wet night and I'm like, oh my God, look at this, like showing him like all this stuff I'd planned and everything like that. And he's just like, Kirsty, with all the time and effort that you have put into this, you deserve to go. just
Oh,
go and just
what a
have a
man.
bloody good time. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like he was, and that's, you know, as much as it was like, he's like, because I can't give you time off, like, because we've only allowed to have so many people in the contract. There's, you know, they have to have so many people on site, and, you know,
Yeah.
so many other reasons behind it. It wasn't a no just because it was a no. I'd love to say yes, but I can't. But yeah, when I did ring up sick, and he was so lovely about it, and so beautiful about it, so amazing
That's so
about it.
good. It's like, yes, you're allowed to be sick. You are allowed to be sick.
Yeah. But then the same thing, like, you know, when I was in discussions with Jana and stuff like that, and trying to decide what to do, I've gone in and I've sat down and had a chat with him as well. I'm like, I just don't know what to do. And like,
oh, wow.
You know,
yeah.
So yeah, so it was, yeah, it's really good. Like, as I said, like, we're all like a family, like, out there. And even now, like, you know, they'll finish day shift and half of my crew do fly in and fly out. So they'll finish day shift and they'll go and check into the hotel at the airport. And here's me at the airport.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I usually go and see them like after day shift.
That's very cool.
Yeah, go and see them on a Tuesday night when they finish their day shift, so once a month, and say hello. And I'm like, have you
that's
forgotten
beautiful.
about me?
Beautiful. But it's like, it's also, yeah, even though you loved that job, it is, sometimes we do have to make difficult decisions. Sometimes we do get presented with two very like wildly appealing things at the same time. We do have to make a choice. We get this one shot at life here, right now. So, you know, we get to do everything that we want to do, but, you know, sometimes it doesn't have an end before the next thing happens. And it's like, sometimes you just got to jump onto those opportunities that you get presented, even though you feel like you haven't quite finished the last one, because everything's still rolling. Yeah,
that's it. But yeah, no, it's really like, I'm just, you know, I'm starting to find my feet now with Jana, and I'm starting to get like this bit of a, you know, kind of, we're getting this role and theme happening, and we've got our little codes that, you know, we send each other. We'll just send us, like, we've got little emojis that mean different little things. So yeah, like, if we are having a bit of a, I just don't want to deal with shit today.
That's what a work environment should be like. It's like, I'm not dealing with shit today. Boss understands.
Like, you know, and she will even say, like, you know, for that, you know, she quite openly talks about that time when she was down at the Gold Coast and when Tani was getting ready to move and things like that. And I'm just here going, I'm just going to be here doing my thing. When you're ready, come back. There are some days that, okay, and so we'd kind of get a few little things done, but otherwise I just go and I'd find stuff to do, and I'm like, I'm just going to clean this up, and I'll just go and tidy this up and make this stuff look pretty, and do all of this stuff. And like, I mean, my daily stuff anyway is quite busy.
Especially in this industry, that you actually understand that we need to have that time to go through things. Like, that's why it's a beautiful match, I think, that for you two to be able to work together in this capacity, because if you didn't understand it and you're just like, okay, boss, give me, what have I got to do today? What have I got to do today? And your boss is going through something that she needs to go through. That would be really difficult. That would be really hard for both of you. And I mean, obviously it wouldn't work. The best part about learning what we learn and doing what we do is that we'll have days, we'll have weeks, we'll have times when we're not fully there, and to be able to have somebody with you to hold space for you while you go through it is phenomenal. And it's like Paula and I, like, we have a sisterhood, made a commitment to this podcast, but there's times when either of us just aren't feeling it, or we're just going through something, and it's just, you know, the other one takes the role of holding space, but it's not like we still got to show up, you know, we don't, there's not that. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, and it is. It's like that. Like, see, because I'm crafty, I love my art. You know, like I love like my paintings, and I've been experimenting with resins and, you know, all of those things at the moment. Like I love my craft. So I fully understand that from a creative point of view, you know, that you do have those times that you delve deep in, and sometimes I'll sit in my room and I'll be doing craft and I probably won't come out for hours and hours and hours. Same with, you know, so when Carp brought out their courses, oh my goodness, you know, like downloading every single video, then uploading it and then embedding it and then transferring it across and then trying to create a worksheet for it. And, you know, in 2 days I had, you know, I think I'd done like 60 hours in 1 week just doing these videos just to try and get them done. And I'm like, oh my God. But then I really did not a lot for the next week. you know, for the next week, I was just like, I am so mentally drained from this because it was a new process as well. But then it was once learning it. So then your brain's like, you know, you're all fired up. And then once you've got it down pat, then you're like, oh my God, this is so monotonous. This is ridiculous. I have just done all this stuff. This is, and then so then the next week I was just like, I just need some like brain space, like just to recharge, clear my head and go and recharge and stuff like that. So I was just, you know, doing the basics. So a lot of the times, like now I'm just still trying to find my work balance because I am such, when I'm in, I'm all in. I'm still finding my own personal balance and boundaries and structure for myself.
That you can do that flow, and it's not like, you know, where you've got a job and you've got certain tasks that have to be done every day and a certain amount of work that has to be done every week, that you can have this beautiful flow between the two of you doing creative work and, you know, admin and the structural work and things like that, and working on new projects. But it can be like this beautiful flow. That's one of the things that I love the most about working for myself, is that it
me too.
Doesn't have to be so strict with how it works and how it looks. But oh my gosh, Kirsty,
how cool.
This conversation has been amazing, and we have gone on so many wild rides. I think you're like one of the wildest people that I know.
I know. That was amazing. You are sensational.
Fun.
Oh, well, we just love you. We love you to bits.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love you guys too. It was so good to meet you guys all in person. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing.
So
beautiful. That was the
best. So cool.
Yeah.
Such a good weekend.
We need to do it again.
Yes, we do. We do.
All right, I'm going to get back to the kids. This was amazing, Kirsty. Thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you so much, gorgeous.
No worries. Thank you so much, ladies.
Wild Rose! Wild Rose! Wild Rose!
Wow.